A breakdown in time doesn't begin with a crash. It starts with a micro repetition, a sound or movement occurring a fraction of a second late. You think you imagined it because the alternative is impossible. Last night, it happened while I was watching a normal video, nothing strange or scary. The narrator said, "You won't notice it the first time." Simple, mundane. But a few seconds later, he said it again. Same tone, same pause, same words. I frowned and dragged the slider back to the start of the sentence to see if the file was corrupted. This time he said it once. The repeat had vanished. While the progress bar on the screen continues moving forward, the audio waveform above it loops back into a closed circle. The playback software isn't the issue. The audio is moving independently of the timeline, repeating even as the video file advances. I locked my phone, set it on the nightstand, but the lag followed me. I snapped my fingers. The physical motion finished completely, and then, a full beat later, the sharp sound of the snap finally filled the room. I went to the kitchen and flipped the light switch. Click. A full second of darkness passed before the bulb actually responded. The physical environment was no longer reacting in real time. When I checked my phone again, the video was still playing. The narrator stopped his script, looked directly at the lens, and said, "You noticed it this time." He was responding to my reaction in the room. The phenomenon was narrowing. The delay wasn't in the device or the wiring. It was centering on me. My personal timeline was fracturing, creating a visible gap between my actions and their consequences. At 2:41 a.m., the house went completely silent. No hum from the fridge, no wind outside. Then, without a touch, the phone screen flared to life, and the video began to play from the beginning. Each time the narrator repeated the line, the room felt heavier. It wasn't getting louder, but it felt closer, like the moments were physically piling up on top of each other, taking up space in the air. The digital clock on the bedside table hit 6:12 a.m., then, snapping back, instantly resets to 6:11. Forward momentum has ceased. The arrow of time is hitting a hard barrier and being forced into a reversal. Linear time has stopped. Instead of advancing, reality is now actively trapping and correcting my environment, ensuring that no matter what I do, I remain within the same 60 seconds. In the bathroom mirror, the delay became undeniable. I raised my hand to touch the glass, and for a heartbeat, my reflection just watched me. Then it followed the movement, trailing behind my real-world position. I stared into my own eyes and blinked. My reflection didn't. It kept its eyes wide, staring back at me for 2 full seconds before finally blinking on its own, completely out of sync with my body. I stepped away from the sink, but the image in the mirror stayed leaned forward. It lingered there, frozen in a second that had already passed, before finally snapping back into place to match my current stance. My physical presence was splitting. The seconds were no longer disappearing once they were used. Instead, echoes of my movements were being left behind in the room like discarded shells. The video was playing in my head now, even with my ears covered. The room stuttered, flickering into a version of itself that was darker and slower, where I could see myself still sitting on the bed from 5 minutes ago. I ran for the door, but as soon as my hand touched the frame, I was standing back by the bed. No transition, no walking. The space just reset, placing me back at the start of the loop. I looked at the mirror one last time. My reflection didn't wait for me to move. It stepped toward the glass first, anticipating my actions and performing them before I had the chance to think of them. This loop requires a witness to function. By watching this video, by staying through the repetitions and noticing the glitches, you've allowed the cycle to move from my timeline into yours. The mechanism relies on awareness. The moment you notice the repetition is the point of no return. Your observation of the glitch triggers the trap, pulling you into the sequence. These separate versions of the moment stack directly on top of each other. I'm simultaneously sitting, standing, and staring into the mirror. The primary silhouette moves forward, but the trailing consciousness stays behind. My mind is now a delayed echo, following actions already completed. I have lost all agency. I am a passive observer locked inside a repeating timeline, merely watching a body that no longer waits for my commands to act. My hands move to the phone. I press play. I realize now that this isn't the third or fourth loop. It has been thousands. There is no longer any certainty that I am the person who originally lived this day. My reflection appears on the phone screen, smiling. It is the one controlling the movements now. I have become the repetition, the secondary image that follows the primary actor. My perspective shifts. I'm no longer holding the phone. I'm looking out from the screen. In the darkened room outside the glass, I can see the shadow of the viewer holding the device, watching me. The loop doesn't capture your body, it captures the moment. It replaces its current subject with the next person who watches long enough to notice the repeat. I am finally leaving the loop. You are the one staying.